Okay, is that better? Okay, awesome. It is. Apparently, I forgot how to stream between Wednesday and today. I didn't have my I set it up. I to start streaming, and I started the stream, but I didn't have the streaming software open, which um, you know there might be problems actually streaming if I don't have the streaming software open to go live. So anyway, it's Monday. It's early, at least where I am. It's 10 a.m. Not that early, but barely having the coffee, first coffee. So yeah. With that being said, welcome again to another streaming session. Thanks for joining me again. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. Um, all right. So what do we got today? I first of all, let's talk a little bit about what we did last time. So we have been playing around with Kubeflow, and that those efforts haven't been fruitful. Though sort of on the side, I'm still trying to tinker with that and try to get it working, so that eventually we're able to kind of get into it on stream. But for the time being, I don't think it's the most efficient use of time to sort of sit here, debugging and running into errors all the time. I mean, errors and mistakes, and certainly be a great learning experience, but they can also be frustrating, right? And if that's all that you see, then it's not the most efficient use of time on stream, considering that we only have a limited amount of time on here. Last time we went ahead and we made some updates to. We contributed to open source. We contributed to the machine learning samples. If you're not aware of them, machine learning samples. There is this repository on GitHub, which is called the machine learning samples, and you are more than welcome to contribute to this. It essentially has samples for different sort of tasks, right? So if you're doing binary classification, whether that's for sentiment analysis, spam detection, multi-class classification, say in the case of trying to classify flowers, you're doing recommendation, whatever it is. There's multiple samples here that you can take a look at. You should be able to run them, right? And then you should be able to inspect the code to sort of see what's going on, right? And then hopefully eventually you go ahead and you end up either building something like this for your specific problem that you're trying to solve, your company or just your personal project. Anyway, the ML.NET released some time ago the version 1.5 of the library, right, of the NuGet package. So we were essentially helping update some of these samples to that latest version, and that included bumping up the version, but in some cases also bumping it up to .NET Core 3.1, as well as making, especially for web applications or the end-to-end samples, which show how you can integrate ML.NET, or how you can include ML.NET models in web applications, right? The bump from 2.1 or 2.2 to 3.1, there's a few tweaks that need to be made. So we made some of those, and so far we have a pull request. Let's see. No. We have a pull request here, right, that we contributed to. And here's a detailed sort of list of the samples that were updated and some of the work being done to them, right? We started doing that on stream last time, but unfortunately we ran out of time, and eventually I just kept on doing it on my own, simply because it would be nice to get this thing done. But if you are feeling like you would like to contribute samples, maybe there's a sample that you don't see, maybe there is a better way of coding or building or showcasing a specific scenario, right? Either that's already existing or not. you're more than welcome to do that. And we showed last time how you can do that and how you can contribute to this repository, right? So another thing that we kind of looked at was let me see. Let me see. Our F sharp. Okay, so there's the F sharp subreddit. And where is it? There it is. 5 days ago, there was a post made, and the community really sort of did a great job of commenting and trying to respond to this user, Chuck Angel. And the question is basically data analysis in F sharp, where to start, are there resources for F sharp for data science, especially Jupyter Notebooks, Azure explaining workflow, loading, Excel, CSV. I'm looking for F sharp, Python pandas replacement, mostly because I don't like Python, even if F sharp has some rougher corners, right? And part of this is kind of what some of the things that we've been doing on stream, right? We used F sharp to build a deep learning malware classification model, right? But I thought we could sort of go back to this and perhaps put together a series of streams going over data analysis in F sharp. What are some things that you might do? Now, there's actually a lot of ways, right, to go about it. I'm going to showcase some of the stuff that's still very early, right? So things like the data frame API, things like Jupyter Notebooks or .NET Interactive, right? And having that interactive environment, as well as perhaps F sharp 5, right? So that's the piece that I want to focus on for the stream. But that, again, that's not to say that that's going to be an exhaustive list. But hopefully it helps try to answer this question, which I think it's valid. I think it's a really good question, right? I would consider myself sort of being on this boat. I wouldn't say I don't like Python. Python is a great language. There's a lot of things to like about Python, but personally, I like what F sharp gives me, right? That in addition to being part of the .NET ecosystem, being sort of a statically typed or compiled type of language, you still get the flexibility, the succinctness, the brevity of Python in F sharp, in addition to, of course, all of the fact that it's a functional first language, right? So I think, with time and the more that is invested, right, things like ML.NET, things like the data frame API, things like .NET for Apache Spark, the .NET ecosystem is really, at least when it comes to data analytics, data processing, and machine learning, right, that area is still very young, right? ML.NET was announced about 2 years ago, a little bit over 2 years ago now. .NET for Apache Spark a little bit over a year ago, and that sort of grew out of Mobius, right? The Mobius project. But I do think that there's a lot of potential and there's a lot of work being done to make sure that that .NET is a great platform for building data analytics and machine learning workflows. But more importantly, I strongly believe that F sharp as a language is poised to handle these workflows that much better within the .NET ecosystem, right? So we're gonna go over a few of those things today. I wanted to kind of, before we get to that, there's a few things I want to go over. One is the F sharp weekly. Again, I always mention this, but it is a great resource if you want to get caught up on the latest F sharp news. And it's not just F sharp specific, right? So for example, you have articles like this, right, where it's like a deep dive into how .NET builds and ships. It's a really great article, by the way, that you should check out. And there's this other one, bringing the best of web to your .NET desktop application, Web U2. Again, this is not F sharp specific, but again, it's still within the context of the .NET ecosystem. One of the things that I would highly encourage you to check out, though, is one of the latest .NET Rocks episodes with Philip Carter. And in this show, basically, it's all about F sharp, what's new, what's coming, and really, here it is, right? Adding capabilities to interactive mode of F sharp, including working easily with Jupyter Notebooks. So again, there's this recurring theme, right, that you're seeing that data science, machine learning, uh, data analytics, workflows, F Sharp is going to be, and .NET and F Sharp specifically are going to be great tools to help you get that job done. Are they the only tools? Absolutely not. You can mix and match, but certainly if you prefer sort of being within the .NET ecosystem, F Sharp is a great alternative that you can use, right? The other thing that I wanted to talk about was schedule. So I've been doing the stream from about 10 to 11, 10 to 11:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time, and that's worked okay. But I'm thinking of potentially changing the time, adjusting it, and doing this stream in the evening hours. I understand that folks, perhaps may be at work, especially here in the United States. They may be at work. Perhaps in Europe it may be a little later, right? And so to be a little bit more sort of cognizant and of people's schedules, perhaps at least just to try it out, maybe one of these shows we can excuse me, perhaps one of these streams we can probably switch them to the afternoon just to be a little bit more inclusive and allow folks to join who may prefer joining in the evening hours. So I'm still not sure whether I'm going to move both of them. Maybe I'll just try one of them just to see how it works out. But so stay tuned. The schedule may be changing. And I'll post any updates on Twitter and let you folks know. All right. Okay. So how do you get started doing data analysis in F Sharp? Well, there's several ways. The way that I'm going to go about it is I am going to, well, before I even talk to you about the tools, let me talk to you about the problem that we're going to try to solve. So I noticed recently, I'm not sure if it's been around for, let's see. I'm actually not sure how long this has been around. Updated 10 days ago. Okay, so it's fairly. Oh, let's see. Version 1. Oh, so it looks like the initial release was about 4 months ago. So it's been around for a little while, but I recently only learned about it until a few days ago. And essentially, it is the Arxiv Dataset. For folks who may not be familiar, Arxiv is this. It's a kind of like I don't want to say a library. I don't want to say a journal, but it's a website, and I can kind of show you. Whoops. That's not it. So it's this place where publications, right? It's free to access, and there's these publications on a variety of topics, right? You can see economics, biology, finance, mathematics, physics, engineering, so on and so forth. And it contains scholarly articles, right? Now one thing to note is that they're not peer reviewed, but a lot of times, publications just make it on here, and it's a really great resource if you're looking to see what's new in whatever it is that you are interested in. So for example, if you are looking at, I don't know, systems and control, for example, or robotics, right? What can we find here? You'll see that there's these things, right? So task planning with belief behavior trees, graph neural networks for multi-task object tracking. And again, whatever it is that you're interested in reading about, or the topic that you're interested in, you can certainly go here and you can read the papers. Yeah. Hey, John. Morning. You are absolutely right. There is no paywall. And there's tons of really, really great stuff. I think, for example, if you were to, I wonder if this will show up. logo, deep learning, UAVs, tiny YOLO, object detection, supplemented. I don't think it's here. I'm pretty sure it's here, the original paper, but YOLO, which is a very popular sort of object detection state-of-the-art model, right? That's on here. So again, you can find a lot of publications that essentially showcase a lot of sort of state-of-the-art techniques or some of the latest research. Anyway, going back to the the data set, right? You have about 3 gigs worth of data and metadata, right? So what exactly does the metadata look like? Let's take a look here, right? So the metadata will have things like the authors, the abstract of the paper, the categories, right? That these belong to. So again, remember how here in Arxiv, there's all these categories, right? There's astrophysics, there's mathematics, whatever. So there's all these different categories that these articles belong to, right? And that's something that's sort of found here in the categories, right? It also tells you about comments like such as how many pages, was it published in a journal, and if so, which one? So lots of really, really interesting things here. You even have, so for example, here you'll see that you have for special characters, it's not necessarily parsed. But in this case, you have a parsed representation of the authors, and that's their sort of their first, I guess, their last, I mean, and their first and middle names, if any. Right. So in addition to this, though, this is just the data, metadata. You also have, from what I think I saw, we're using Arxiv to pull the original data. I think you should also have access to the articles themselves, right? So you should be able to get the full text of the article itself. All right, so page for this paper, including its abstract and further links, direct download. Anyway, as you can see, actually, there's 1.1 terabytes worth of data. So, but right now there's only 3 gigs, so I think it's fairly manageable. So what I'm planning to do is I am planning to use different tools like Jupyter Notebooks, Visual Studio Code, .NET Interactive, and F# to do some fairly rudimentary data analysis and exploratory data analysis on this data set. So, basically see who are the most published authors, or who are the authors that are most represented. Perhaps answer questions like what, by year, what are the most, which categories or which areas or fields publish the most papers. Answering things like, what are the most cited papers, right? Things like that. So to do that, I won't be doing it on my PC. Yeah, most cited paper. Yeah. That might be interesting to see. I don't know what that might be, but it'll certainly be interesting. And perhaps we may even, so not only can we do analysis, but we can also do visualizations, right? So perhaps maybe we can do something with Graphis or some sort of visualization library where we can create some sort of interactive network of papers and how they relate, perhaps topics and how connected the topics are, or the categories, right? Because things don't exist in a vacuum, right? You can apply computing techniques to biology, mathematics. Certainly, you can do mathematics on computers and stuff like that. And vice versa. So there's a lot of cross-pollination across the fields, right? So maybe perhaps trying to see those connections would be interesting. I don't know what this is going to show, but that's part of the exploratory process, right? The exploratory process is just getting to know and understand your data a little bit better. Perhaps at some point, perhaps we can build a classifier that, based on the abstract and the title, can we classify papers, right? So things like that. We're just gonna dive into it and we're gonna try to explore it. So I'm not necessarily going to be doing this on my PC. Number one, because I don't want to use the resources. I'm already dedicating a fair amount of resources to streaming. So running some data analytics, especially on a data set this large, maybe my computer may not handle it, right? I'm running on a Surface laptop, first gen, So it's capable. It's certainly capable of handling streaming. Perhaps it's not the most capable to multitask on tasks like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spin up an Azure VM, right? A fairly lightweight Azure VM. Try to get it as cheap as possible, right? Because we're not necessarily doing mission critical work here. And yeah, we're going to install a few things and get started. So let's see here. Let me go ahead and go to the Azure Portal. I should probably get used to, since I've done this a few times now, perhaps I should set up some sort of script or something like that. Who knows, maybe I'll use something like Farmer to provision a VM for me in the future. But in this case, we're just doing it once. Yeah, we're just doing it once. So let's not use Farmer. And for folks who are not familiar, Farmer is awesome. So Farmer, what it allows you to do is, it's kind of what you hear of, what is it, infrastructure as code? Is that what it is? Yes, something like that. Yeah, there you go. Infrastructure as code. And essentially what you're able to do is you're able to code in the language that you like, in this case, F#, right? And instead of either going through the portal or using the CLI or using ARM templates directly, what Farmer allows you to do is it allows you to encode. It's a DSL, right, a domain-specific language, that allows you to, with code, specify what are the settings and parameters that I want to provision a specific resource on Azure. And essentially what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and it's going to generate an ARM template for you. And then the option that you also have after that is you can just take that ARM template and go ahead and deploy it to Azure, right? So in this case, again, it's a little bit of overkill because we're just going to do this operation once, hopefully, right? But if you're doing this repeatedly, right, perhaps you're provisioning infrastructure, you're spinning up VMs, you're spinning up containers, databases, whatever resources, right? This is a great tool to automate that. It does two things, right? Like, number one, it automates the process. But again, you could say, okay, well, Bash script or some sort of PowerShell script could do that. Whatever. The other thing that this does, right, is because it's code, you can sort of, do it as part of some sort of CI/CD pipeline. You could also, you can also what's called add version control to it, right? So you can see how the settings have changed. Perhaps, hey, there's this version of the application, and these were the settings that we were using this was the infrastructure that we were using to run this particular application. As of the version, we switched to that, and now we can see that the parameters may be different, or maybe we bumped up the size of the VM, or we scaled up, whatever it may be, right? So you get those benefits, right? And again, best of all, you get to do it in F#. Anyway, let's get started here, and let's go ahead and provision an Azure VM. Now, I'm going to say that this is something that you don't necessarily need to do. And for the tools that we'll be working with, in fact, you can actually get started in a much simpler way. So what we're going to be using is interactive. And one of the easiest ways that you can, let me just paste this into the chat here. One of the easiest ways that you can get started with this is here in the .NET Interactive site. And if this ever loads, you can go here and you can click Launch Binder. And what this is going to do is it's going to, there's a Docker image that essentially provisions a container that has .NET Interactive. And what is .NET Interactive? .NET Interactive is this sort of, it's many things, but you can think of it as a kernel, right, that allows you to run .NET code and PowerShell interactively in whatever environment. This can be in Interact, in Visual Studio Code, as well as in Jupyter Notebooks, right, which are places that that a lot of folks who do data analytics and data science may be familiar with. So this is the easiest way to get started. One of the caveats, and I don't know if this is true, so again, take this with a grain of salt. I don't know if you can store your sessions for Binder. I suspect that there may be something, perhaps if you create an account. But to be honest, I don't know if you can store sessions with Binder. And what I mean by that is, for example, you go ahead, you get started with Binder, you know, um, you perform your data analysis, right? You start up a notebook, you perform your data analysis. Huh, interesting. Error loading.net interactive main. What's the error? Sorry, excuse me here. Configuration. Interesting. Um, yeah, sorry. So going back, you essentially do your work, but then after that, you're going to want to save it somehow, right? Or you would like to come back to it. And because it's a container and it's a free service, I suspect that you don't get to keep this container running for a long time. While it's a great way to get started, maybe not. It may not be the best way to, for example, if you're actually doing a project such as this one, it may not be the best way to go about it, because again, I believe that I don't think that you can actually store your work or save your work. So just be mindful of that. So this is the easy way to get started. But again, because we're going to want to save our work, we're going to want to do several things with this. What we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to spin up a VM. But I'm thinking, yeah, let's start with this. Let's start with just a clean Ubuntu, clean VM, Linux VM running Ubuntu, and we'll take it from there. Let me actually, but before we do that, let me actually, let's see, build logs. I don't know if active. Okay, let's raise an issue here for the folks. If there isn't one already, that way they are aware that this is happening. Let's see. Okay, nope, pull request. F# hover text, xplot vnext, update package feeds. Okay, I don't see anything here in the pull request. Let me see the issues. VS Code should not include the markdown.net interactive language, default branch, master domain. All right, let's see if we can find anything. Binder. There's nothing around Binder. Okay. All right, so let's open up a new issue. Bug report. I don't know. Binder. What is it called? Main. Okay. So let's see. Please provide a strict. Okay, describe the bug. When clicking on clicking the launch Binder, I don't know, icon in the .NET interactive GitHub repo, I get first one provisioning container. Okay, which version? I don't know, man. Let's see, VS Code, a command line run, OS. I'm using Edge, front end, other. Let's see. Finder. Well, I mean, I guess I'm technically using from a Windows 10, but it doesn't really matter. Let's see here. Screenshots. And then logs. Okay, let's see here. Control print screen. All right, so let's take this screenshot. And then for the logs, let's just take this and copy it. It may just be the case that this is a one-time thing, but might as well be safe. And make sure that the team is aware of, whoops. That's not what I was going for. Yep, this is definitely not what I was going for. Let's see, I'm double checking it right now. Okay, thanks user. Yeah, I'm hoping that it's a one-time thing. But again, just to be safe. Let's see, copy. Okay, please paste. And let's actually do that within code blocks. Perfect. Preview. Beautiful. Okay. It's not the prettiest, but you know what? It'll get the job done. When clicking the launch binder icon, .NET Interactive GitHub repo. I get errors when provisioning. And if I could spell, again, it's way too early. Don't know how to stream. I can't spell. Provisioning the container. Perfect. Excellent. All right, let's go ahead and submit. Let's see, error loading. Cool. All right, so issue created, and I will paste this into the chat. So if you folks end up trying it, just feel free to either, +1 or thumbs up or whatever, just so that they're aware that it's not a one-off issue. All right, so now that we've done our good deed for the day, let's see here. Let's go ahead and go to portal.azure.com. No. Portal.azure.com. No, that's not it. Let's see. Portal.azure.com. Cool. Okay. So there's actually a few ways that you can kind of go about this, right? And the reason why I'm choosing to go with just a clean VM so that we can install everything is so that we can kind of see everything that you might do on your own PC. And one of the nice things about .NET Interactive, again, because it's a .NET tool, it runs cross-platform, Windows, Mac, and Linux, so really your operating system doesn't really matter. What I will say, though, is that the thing, though, is with the VM, we're going to have to potentially install Jupyter Notebooks or Anaconda, some sort of Anaconda distribution. And the other thing is we are going to have to install .NET Interactive, right? Which is fine. The other way to approach this would be to create either a DSVM or a data science virtual machine, which already includes Jupyter Notebooks, Docker, things like that. You could also provision a compute instance, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a compute instance in terms of Azure Machine Learning. It is a single VM, right? And this VM, you can SSH into it. And among many things, what you can also do with it is you can go ahead and install Jupyter You can install .NET Interactive, but the thing is that things like Docker are already installed, and things like Jupyter Notebooks and anything that you might need for data science workflows, or at least a lot of the basic ones. It's all there for you, so you don't have to install from scratch. I'm choosing to go the hard route, which is install everything. Okay. But again, those just be mindful that those are other options. You can go ahead and either clean VM, data science virtual machine, or an Azure machine learning compute instance. The reason why I don't go with the Azure machine learning compute instance is that there are other resources that are provisioned for you. So, for example, a compute instance has to live within a workspace, and a workspace essentially is the kind of like to better illustrate it. Let me see if I can find the docs.microsoft.com/Azure loading. Okay, so let's go to docs, because where else can you find good information on stuff? So let's see. Is it in architecture and terms? Yes, perfect. Okay, so a workspace, what a workspace essentially is, it's kind of like a collection, if you were to think about it. It's a place where you store your work, and it basically contains all the information and it gathers and packages all your resources nicely in this one collective place, right? So if you want to essentially provision a compute instance, an Azure machine learning compute instance, you need a workspace. Now, a workspace itself is basically contains a series of resources and services on Azure, and these services include an Azure Storage account, Azure Container Registry, Key Vault, and Application Insights, and these are all used for different purposes, right? So, for example, the storage account that may be used for perhaps your data sets, right? So if you're working with data, you just when you create data sets, or you're managing data sets, essentially what you're using is an Azure storage account. Of course, there are other ways to basically other ways and other places to store data sets. But an Azure storage account, sort of by default, is kind of like one way to do it. Your container registry, of course, if you're deploying your machine learning models with Azure Machine Learning, you essentially have the container registry to register the images containing your machine learning model that you eventually deploy as sort of like as a web service, right? You have Azure Key Vault, which Key Vault, what it allows you to do is it allows you to safely interact between all the services, and application insights, of course, is for monitoring, right? And I think that Azure Key Vault has other uses for it, but I don't know enough about it to tell you what those other use cases are. So again, it's great that you can create a compute instance that has everything on it, but again, you have all of these dependencies and services that are automatically provisioned for you, right? Which is something that we're not necessarily looking to do. We just care about having a VM. So that's why I wouldn't choose an Azure Machine Learning compute instance. Though, if you do care about, if your workload requires you to have an Azure account and perhaps a container registry, workspaces actually make that really really easy. Workspaces and compute instances make it really easy for you to sort of hit the ground running. All right. So let's go to resource groups. Do we still have our resource group here? Channel OpsNet, RG, blog, video, stream, stamina. Ooh, this one's still here? Did I turn it off? Have I been paying for my VMs? Oh no, is this on? Is it stopped? What's the status? Stopped. Whew. Okay. I got worried there for a second. So Stream Stamina RG, this was from when we were building our deep learning malware classifier, right? And it was it was, you know, as a VM that regardless if it's always running, it's gonna cost you money. Now, the last time that we worked with this stamina was back in what was it, June maybe, July. So yeah, I'm just thankful that I had the presence of mind to stop it, and I am not getting charged. Of course, I think I might be getting charged for these other resources like the IP and stuff like that, but in the grand scheme of things, those are much cheaper than say the VM that's running, right? So let's do something. First of all, let's go ahead and delete this resource group because we won't be needing it anymore. Let's see, stream stamina RG. Delete. And what we are going to want to do is we're going to go ahead and create a resource group. Add. Come on, Azure. Create a resource group. And we're going to call stream F# analytics. Okay. And we're going to be in the ECUS because that is where I am. And yep, looks good to me. Stream F# analytics. So what are we going to do here? Here for stream F# analytics, we are going to go ahead and add a resource. And the resource that we're going to want to add is a virtual machine, Ubuntu Server LTS. Sounds perfect. All right. Let's change the subscription a little bit. Oh no, did I? All right, let's delete. Let's see. Okay, let's delete it and let me create it in the other subscription because I don't want to use my pay-as-you-go subscription. I want to use the other one. So stream of sharp analytics. Let's see here. Take this, and I want to. Actually, can I move? Can I change the resource group? You know what? I'm just going to delete it. Let's see. That's a good question. Can I, let's see, update on my check, interactive miner. I didn't get the same errors as you, but it timed out or stopped with a message on top saying your session is taking longer than usual. Check the log message below, see what's happening. Huh, interesting. Thanks, user, for user to you for looking into that. Yeah, you know, I think at some point I also got that error, or you know, I ran into that a similar situation. Interesting. Would you mind just adding to the GitHub issue and just basically what you typed on here, and just add it to the GitHub issue? Perhaps, you know, maybe this is all related somehow. Thank you for doing that and checking. Let me see here. Move, change, subscription. Let's see, change subscription in resource group. Let's see, manage resources. Add a resource group, subscription. Yep. Let's see, move resources to a new subscription. Okay, but I want to use the portal. Ah, perfect. So I go here and I tell it move to another subscription. Huh. Okay, so if it worked, yeah, okay, never mind then. If it worked, then let's, yeah, I guess there's no error. So it must have been a one-time thing on my side. Not sure why, but yeah. So you can move the resources, but not the resource group. Odd, but okay. Let me just delete it. And let's see, stream of sharp analytics. Go ahead and delete this. And once this is deleted, let me go ahead and recreate this, but let's change the subscription to Visual Studio Enterprise. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and add here. And I want to add stream F# analytics. Analytics, and still in the ECUS, review and create. Stream F#. No, previous. -RG. You don't have to do that. I like to just kind of be able to tell that it's a resource group. It's just a matter of preference. Okay, so now that I have this, I do want to go ahead and create my resource, which is an Ubuntu 18.04 LTS. Have I tried 20? I think I've tried 2004. Or 2004. We're not at 2010 yet. I already want it to be October. I'm ready for Halloween. Typically, I give it like 6 months. So anytime that there's any LTS releases with Ubuntu, I will give it 6 months. So if they release, typically they release in April, right? So there's 04, so 1804, 2004. That's when they release their LTS versions. And almost always, library, sort of library developers, and other folks who are working with the latest version of Ubuntu, the latest LTS version, they just need a little bit of time to catch up, right? And sort of migrate and upgrade some of their code to the latest version. So I typically just give it 6 months. So usually by October, right, or the release of 2010, then I will start considering installing on my machines the latest LTS version, right? So in the meantime, we're just going to use 1804 because I know that for sure it works most of the time. It's interesting how I don't know if it's one of those things like the older or more experience that you get, the more cautious you are about upgrading. I remember when I was younger, if there was something new, I was like, I gotta try it. Like, let me try it. But now I'm a little bit more cautious. That's not to say I'm not excited about the new stuff. It's just I wouldn't run sort of production or mission critical or day-to-day stuff on something that's brand new. I'll try it out, and as I see it becoming a little bit more stable, then I'll sort of transfer over. But I won't jump ship. I won't jump with both feet, so to say. And what is going on here? So I'm thinking, I see we're getting to the top of the hour. I'm thinking we go for a little bit longer today after past 11, or 11 my time. And once we provision this, perhaps install some of the things that we'll be needing. And then later on, we'll go ahead and get started with. Basically, at least I want to end the stream with our environment set up so that we can hit the ground running on Wednesday and start our analysis. Yeah, that's very true, user to you. Yeah, I've been burned many times by embracing new products, or so for example, I have so I have so many things. Well, I bought into Windows Phone. I still think it's the greatest phone ever, and way ahead of its time. I bought the first Surface RT, which again I still think that in a lot of ways it was ahead of its time as well. Um, the Microsoft Band that I bought 1 and 2, and yeah, and what else? Oh, of course, the Zune. So yeah, I've been burned many times. But I'm ready to get hurt again. I pre-ordered my Duo, my Surface Duo, a few days ago, so I am ready to get hurt again. I just never learned my lesson. And yes, Silverlight. That's yeah, yeah. I personally I didn't have experience with Silverlight. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do know, and you constantly hear the sort of the horror stories there, right? Let's see. Create a virtual machine. I don't know what it is that it's pretty slow. Maybe it's my connection. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. All right, so virtual machine name. I don't know. Analytics VM, and I want this to be in East US. No infrastructure. Nope. I don't care about redundancy. If it goes down, that's okay. Let's see. Let's select the size. Okay, per month. 1 gig of RAM, 2 disks, temper storage. I need a little bit more than this. I don't care about the CPUs. I do care about storage though. Well, actually not really. Could we do, let's see, how many? No, half. I couldn't do that. I want at least 8. This is a little bit of overkill. The expression suite. Was that a web development framework user to you? Refresh my memory. Let's see. At least 8. Ooh. Oh, right. Blend. Okay, yep, gotcha. Yeah. I don't think I ever had. I mean, I heard about it, but I never had the pleasure of working with it. But I did hear that a lot of people were very, very fond of that product. Let's see, is this? What's the difference between this and this? Why would I go with, let's see. Why would I go with a D2? Oh, the max IOPS. Okay, so $10. Do I care about that? A bump of $10. Sure. Let's go. Let's go with this. Select D2SV3. No. Sure. Let's go with password. Let's see. User. Oh, come on. User. Let me just write this down somewhere so I don't forget. And then right, inbound ports, allowed ports, SSH, making up usernames, passwords, words. Yeah, you know, I should probably do a public key, but then that means that I have to create it and store it, and yeah, I'm not about to do that. But ideally, yes, I should be doing it with using SSH. I'm not, but let's see. Spot instance. What is this? Offers capacity discount rate versus pay as you go rates. Workloads to be tolerant. Yes. Let's see. Evict virtual machine when Azure needs the capacity. Your max price is set to pay as you go. Set to the pay. Your max price is set to. Okay. Stop and deallocate. Okay. I could go with this. Again, we're not doing mission critical stuff, so let's go with the spot instance. Hopefully it wouldn't get booted on stream. All right, let's select a disk. Nope, don't remember it. Sure, let's do encryption at rest, and we are going to do a platform managed key. Yep, that's okay with me. And create and attach a new disk. Okay. Storage type. Nope, I don't have anything. Sure. Change the size. I don't need a terabyte worth of data. Although perhaps if we were using the full data set, maybe this is something we might care about. But in our case, let's go for 256. Okay. I think 256 is generous enough. Okay. Host caching, sure. Networking. I think we should be okay. And this is why it helps, right? So right now I'm taking like my time going through these things. But if this was something that we were doing a lot of times, like we wouldn't want to go through this exact same process every time, and that's where things like Farmer, or perhaps if you want a more cross cloud experience, right, you might consider something like Terraform, or even Pulumi, right, to essentially automate this with code. Sure, this looks fine. Management, that's management. Boot, OS, storage off, enable shutdown. Sure. Advanced. Yep, looks good to me. Just go ahead and review and create. And I think we should be good to go. Once I provision this thing. What happened? Your template failed. So, yeah, that's a good question. Let me paste the data set into. So the data set is actually, it's on Kaggle, but it's actually it's stored in Google Cloud Storage. You know, maybe I should have just used GCP, but I like Azure. Perhaps at some point I might do like a Google Cloud thing, or maybe work with AWS. I haven't looked at those in some time actually. But that's the link, right? And it's the data itself is in Google Storage buckets. Apparently there's weekly updates to the data set. And you have both. So you have the metadata, and you have what I believe is the full text. So at first, what we're going to start off with, we're just going to do some basic analysis around the metadata. So things like, what is the, by year, what is the most, what is the category that is most published, right? Or just overall, what is the most published category? And by category means things like physics, mathematics, computer science, whatever, right? You also have the abstract, so you could do a little bit of NLP on the abstract. Perhaps maybe you can build a classifier, right? Try to predict the category or categories based on, you know, the abstract and perhaps the title. You also have the authors, right? We're going to try to see who are the most published authors. I think you also have information about citations. So maybe we can look at, okay, well, what's the most cited paper? What are the, you know, what are the connections, right? Like, you know, if there's this paper, you know, what are, and create some sort of like network visualization. I don't know if that's possible, to be honest, with .NET Interactive. I suspect it is, but I don't know. But I guess that's, you know, that's what we do with stream. We're going to learn whether we could do that or not. So yeah, and that's kind of what we're going to be doing as we explore this data set. And right now there's 3 gigs, but if you read here, right, the actual the full data set it's a little bit over 1.1 terabytes. So we're getting in on the ground floor. Let's see here. Oh, whoa, what happened? Oh, there it is. What? Come on, man. Okay, the basics. Change pixel may select. Okay, preview all options for okay. Stream, F# and others, VM, East US. Okay, that's all good to go. Capacity. Sure. Yep, SSH. That's all I want. Disks. Premium SSD. None. Create and attach. 256. Sure. Networking. Sure. What's wrong? Let's see. Template deployment. The resource ID. Compute VMs. For resource. Not available. Oh, it's not available in the East US. So why would you let me create it? This is not cool. Why would you let me create it? Or why would you validate it? Say, hey, yeah, we could do that. If it's not available. All right, where could I create this? Maybe West US? Let's try West US. Where's West US? There we go. Let's try this. Review and create. Okay. It's not available in West US. Okay. Basics. Is there some feedback? Let's see. Feedback. Invalid when creating a VM. What type? Standard D2S V3. Basic screen does not automatically dissatisfied. Does not automatically notify me that the VM resource is not available in the selected regions. Okay, sure, you can email me. Submit feedback. All right. It's times like this where you kind of, it makes sense to just go with the workspace because you don't have to deal with this stuff. Let's see, West US 2. Maybe West US 1 is not good enough. All right, review and create. Come on, fingers crossed. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? The requested size for resource VM is currently not available. West US 2 zones. Okay. Let's see. Where is it available then? Yeah, I could change the size. But I want this one. All right, you know what? Let's go back to, what is it, basics. Let's try changing the size. Select size. Hourly, no. Display monthly, okay. Azure Spot supported. RAM, 8, okay. Filter. Is there a way to filter by region? No. Ooh, $11. I like that. Spot 8. 1804. Yeah, region West US 2. It tells me that it supports it. So how come here it's not? All right, you know what? Let's start fresh. Create resources. Maybe there was some bug and it got stuck in this weird loop. Let's see. It's not cool that it's taking me this long to provision a VM. All right, virtual machine name. F# analytics VM. West Europe, no. Let's do it in East US. Gen 1. Let's do D2 VS3. Yep. Spot instance, yes. Capacity, stop and deallocate. Let's do password. Okay. Okay. Cool. Allow selected ports. 22 disks. Nope. I don't want that. Premium, sure. Create and attach a new disk. Let's go change this. 256. Okay. Okay. Review and create. Fingers crossed. Oh, come on. You gotta be kidding me. I bet you I know what it is. I bet you I know what it is. Check this out. No, I don't want a spot instance. Passed. You know what? For the sake of this, let's do this. I can always stop the instance. But that's a little bit frustrating. I'm trying to save money here. Yeah, right? Man. Okay. So now we are well on our way to... oh, man, that is frustrating. I wonder if I could switch it. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to try next. Once it's provisioned, I'm going to try to switch the size. Maybe there's something going on with this creation thing. or its creation screen. Okay, go to resource. All right, so it's been created. We know where this thing lives. Let's see, connect, size. It's running. Let's change the size. Let's see, Visual Studio, filter. What's the filter? Azure Spot. Supported. And RAM, I want at least 8. Haha, look at that. Okay. I thought this is what I had though. Let's see. Availability and scaling. Let's see, where can I change? All right. Doesn't matter for now. Nope, this is not how I want to. This is not how I want to connect. I want to connect this way. Can I get the copy? Oh, what's this? Share to mobile. All right, so let's do a little bit of WSL here. Windows Subsystem for Linux. Okay. No. There we go. Okay. Actually, I don't want WSL. I want the terminal. Where are you, Windows Terminal? There you are. I can't tell where it is because... All right, so we're going to need a few things. So I'm running Ubuntu 18.04 here, so using the Windows Subsystem for Linux in the Windows Terminal. And what I want to do is Azure user at this thing. Yes. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell it... I hope that works. Yes, awesome. Okay, let's update our packages. Because that, oh, the other thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to sudo apt okay -y, and actually make this a little bit bigger so you folks can see. I know this isn't always the best. Let's see, disks. I want to connect my disk. I always forget what the commands are. Let's see, manage disk. So you want to enable Azure Data Encryption, refresh. Let's see. Mount this Azure VM. Okay. And you gotta love docs that it shows up in the top results. So we're gonna want to mount our disk. We already have it. Okay. If we go back to our terminal here, perfect. And let's go here, make it a little bit bigger. And we run this, we see that, there it is, SDC. All right, so this SDC is the disk that we have. Room 0 is 4 gigs, an image you can see a 3 data disk, okay, fine. Partition. All right, and we're doing it on sdev/SDC, and we are partitioning it. Okay, and we're doing okay. We're copying stuff over because it just happens to work, and we're basically creating a partition, and it's going to be called SDC1. All right, sure, this can be called that, the data drive, and we're going to call SDC1 part of the data drive. Then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to run this thing, and what the reason why we're running this is, let's see, where's SDC1? This is the one that we're going to need. So let's copy this. What this is going to allow us to do is we're going to basically, anytime that there's a reboot or whatever, we ran into this issue last time. If there's like a reboot or something like that on the VM, we stop it and we start it again, then our disk will be unmounted. So we're going to need some of this information here, the ID, so that we can set it up the sort of the automatic mounting, right? And then we can do this. Let's see. We want to open this file, right? And there's stuff here. And what we want to do is we want to essentially copy this thing, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to replace the ID. All right, cool. What we're going to do is we're going to replace the ID here. So let's see. There, data drive. Actually, I thought I was in Emacs. Control X. Yeah, yes. Y. Sure. Let's see, as FS time. Cool. All right, so now this is there. Now if we were to do df-h, boom, there it is, our data drive. Okay, we're mounted, we're ready to rock and roll. So what do we need now? Jupyter. We need to install Jupyter Notebook. Should we use snap? Sure. Sudo snap install Jupyter. So now we're going to install Jupyter. I'm hoping that this is the latest version, or that this is the right one. And basically why we're installing Jupyter is you need Jupyter to at least get started, right? So if we go to, where is it? .NET, no, github.com, .NET interactive. It's not interactive, it's interactive. And I'm telling you, can't spell today. Let's see, notebooks, Magic Jupyter, using Binder, install .NET Interactive. Perfect, so we need a Jupyter. Okay, so in this case, they're using Anaconda because it's really easy to use. If you're working with Mac or Windows, it's actually better to use Anaconda for package management and all sorts of things. But on Linux, you can... okay, did I just get a... No. Did I just get a virus on stream? That's exactly just what I need. Okay, nothing. All right. All right, let's see here. You could use virtual environments. I would have to install Python. Yeah, I think I would have to install Python. Okay, let's see. Just make sure that Jupyter runs. Excellent. Okay, so Jupyter is installed. But yeah, you could use virtual environments, and I would have to install again. I would have to use install Python in this because I didn't install Python. I just installed Jupyter, which I guess as part of the snap, it also includes Python. Some, let me see. Well, actually, no, sorry. Ubuntu by default has, yeah, see, it has 3.6.9 installed. So I guess I wouldn't have to install Python, and I could do that as well. You're right, user to you. All right, so now that I have this and I have Jupyter installed, I can, that is correct, yes, I want to use .NET Core and F#. Which means now we get to the .NET Core piece, and I have to install the SDK. So 3.1, download .NET Core SDK. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Linux. Install .NET Core on a Linux distribution. Yeah, and to run .NET Core with .NET or to run inside of Jupyter Notebooks with .NET Core, I need to install .NET Interactive, and part of that is, of course, it assumes that you already have Jupyter installed. So then the next step is just to install the .NET Interactive .NET tool, right, or command line tool, or global tool, I guess. Yeah. Ubuntu. Okay, I want 1804 LTS. I wonder, should I just go with 5.0 preview? Or should I go with 3.1? You know what? Let's have fun with it. Let's go with first of all, let's add this to our list of packages, right? Or package sources. Let's see. All .NET 5.0. Let's see. Use SDK package manager instructions. Okay, Snap. Oh, you could install it with Snap. Interesting. I'll use the package manager though. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Make our lives a little bit easier. Let's just use Snap. Let's go for it. 5, yeah, and I think with F#5, I think we get a few nice things. Okay, so .NET version. Source. .RC. Nope. Okay. Let's see. Some systems require that you restart the terminal section so the snap install location can be added to the path. Next, you will see your warning once that SDK snap installation complete. All right, you know what? Let's get out of this. Let's try it again. Okay. When .NET Core install, you snap by default .NET as opposed to .NET. Oh, okay. So .NET SDK.NET. There you go. And just to confirm the version, perfect. 5 preview 7. So what I want to do is this thing, alias it so that I can use it just like I would normally. .NET version. Beautiful. Okay. So we got our VM set up. We got our disk mounted. We got Jupyter notebooks or Jupyter installed. We got the .NET Core SDK installed, both of them using Snap. So now we installed .NET Interactive. How do I do that? Like this. Oh, well, first of all, let's just inspect which kernels are there. Jupyter kernel spec list. Perfect. And Python is the only one that's installed, but we now want to install .NET Tool or .NET Interactive. Okay. It's going to be doing its thing. Out of coffee, just in time. Let's see, Microsoft. Let's see, successfully installed .NET Interactive Jupyter install. Built-in.NET command. Let's see. So it should have added it. Let's see. Okay. By running the following command. I guess I might have to add this. I could have sworn that this did it automatically, but just in case, let me copy it to somewhere else. Let's see. Bash RC, and then let me try this again. Okay, so this doesn't work. So what I'm gonna do is I will Vim. Do I have Emacs installed? I don't. Fine. VI bash RC. Okay, let's go all the way to the bottom. Come on. Let me actually. All right, and let's do export path. And what this is going to do is it's going to add the .NET Tools directory to our path, and then we can just restart our session with source bash rc. And now if I were to try this thing, oh come on, it's a self-contained application that lavishly exists in home, Azure.NET Tool Store, Microsoft.NET Interactive, reactive. This is remote dependent application installed, runtime, global location. Interesting. Okay, that brings us here. All right, give me 1 second. I have to step away for like 2 minutes. I will be right back. right, back, folks. Let's see. All right. What's going on here? .NET runtime can be found. It's odd. In the global location, if this is a framework-dependent application, it should be a self-contained application. Oh, I think I know why. See, this is why you should always read instructions. And considering that I write docs, this is what happens when you don't read instructions. You're supposed to have 3.1. So I think I got ahead of myself there. All right, so fine. Let's do 3.1. It's good. It's a good try there. But let's go with 3.1. Let's see. Linux. Okay, Ubuntu. So sudo snap remove. Is that how you do sudo snap? Let's see. Sudo snap remove. .NET SDK. Okay. Perfect. All right. So now let's go here. Ubuntu. Cool. And I want 1804. Okay. So I should probably do this, right? I think, okay, wonderful. Oh, come on. Wonderful. And do this trick here. Okie doke. Let's see here. Okay, .NET SDK 3.1. So let's see now, .NET -- version. Interesting. No switch file in directory. Snap bin. Okay, source. /rc. Let's restart the session. .NET. There we go. .NET -- version. Perfect. 3.1401. And now if I were to do this, C#, PowerShell, and F#. So now if I were to do, what is it? Kernel spec list. It's still not? I would have expected to see C# and F#. Interesting. I wonder if the reason for this is that oh, there it is, failed to install. And that's because, okay. And that's because we installed, let's see, sudo snap remove Jupyter. The reason for that is we installed. It's interesting. Okay. So the reason is we installed Jupyter as a snap, and when it's in the snap, then the path is different than this path here, which is what .NET Interactive is looking for. So let's try to install Jupyter. Jupyter.org. Let's try to install Jupyter. Documentation. Oh, install would be great. With conda pip install. This with the classic, getting started with Jupyter Lab. I don't care about either one, to be honest. Pip install notebook. Okay, sure. This might take some time. So once this is set up, we really went over it today, but that's all right, because I think once we have this set up, then I don't say the rest is going to be easy, but at least we have our environment set up, which is going to be nice. I think on the next stream on Wednesday, what I'm going to cover is, one, getting the data, right? Make sure that it's saved or want it to be saved, and we're probably just going to start on our analysis and start exploring the data. All right, so now that this is installed, let's see, Jupyter kernel spec list .bash rc. Yeah, I remember this thing. Let's see. Get out of this. What is it? Okay. What is it? Notebook. Yeah, that's what I did. I did Jupyter Notebook. All right, let's see if we install sudo apt install Jupyter Core. So maybe this works. Let's just start our session. Jupyter Notebook. I remember we had this problem before. I just don't remember how we fixed it. Let's see. Nope, not the movie. Anaconda. This Anaconda. Let's see. Products, solutions, get started. Install. Yep, I want to install it. Linux. Nope, that's not what I'm trying to do. Yep. Let me see, cancel this. Copy download link. And this is just source. Let's see. Okay. So curl. All right. What is this? chmod plus x. Okay, so it's executable. Okay, in order to continue, please review license agreement for sensors to continue. Yes. I have to run through all this. See, oh, please answer yes or no. I agree, sure. Anaconda will not be installed on this location. Sure. See, this is one of the advantages of using Docker images, and I'm actually not using my Docker image, the one that I created last time. But this is exactly one of the advantages, right? We know that it worked inside of our container, so now we can just pull down our container with Docker and run it. That's probably what I should have done this time, but I figured let me just go ahead and do this. And the reason why also I did this was because eventually I want to work with the remote SSH extension so that in Visual Studio Code, so that I can essentially do local editing, right? Even though I'm really working inside of the VM. And from what we saw last time, that was a little bit hard to do when you were working with if your Jupyter server was inside of a Docker container. A Docker container instance, right? So let me give it a little bit of time here. Just make sure that we're still doing okay on time. Let's see. Yep, we're still good. See, build machine learning models. Jupyter comes. All right, let's see. Matplotlib. So this is the other thing, right, that the data science virtual machines in Azure allow you to do and make it easier for you, right? So here we're literally installing everything from scratch. The compute instances and compute clusters, same thing, right? And by installing Anaconda, we're sort of getting some of these packages, right? Like Jupyter, like Matplotlib, like Scikit. And if you're, again, if you don't really want to worry about that stuff, like you don't care, if you want, sometimes you want full control, right? And that's exactly when you would do what I'm doing. But if you don't care that much and you would prefer that provisioning to be managed for you, data science virtual machines and compute instances are an excellent option, right? So you can literally just get in and start getting your work done as fast as possible. Okay, preparing transaction. All right. In the meantime, let's read a little bit more about what we would need to do to get the data set. Let's see, archive data set. More info here. No, that's not really what I care about. This release, there's those feature further. And okay, so there's a blog post on this. 1.7 million papers. Interesting. Oh yeah, there it is. Article titles, authors, categories, abstracts, full text PDFs, and more. So they're PDFs, but I thought that there was the plain text as well. I might be wrong. Let's see. GS util. Okay, so it looks like I might have to install the GS util tool to get these packages. Oh, do you wish to install it to initialize Anaconda by running conda init? No? Okay. All right, conda. Okay. To install shell functions for easier, first activate, then, okay. You choose not to have conda modify your shell scripts at all. To activate conda's base environment in your current shell, okay. Oh, your shell name, bash. Okay. And then conda init. Okay. All right. This sucks. Let's see. Jupyter. Okay, at least Jupyter's installed. Okay. All right, so let's try this one more time, and I'm hoping that this is literally going to be the last time that we have to do this. Installed. Success. And if we run our Jupyter kernel spec list, boom. Golden. Let's see, Jupyter notebook. Is it host 0.0.0 or is it IP? Where is it? Oh, it's IP. So let's see. No browser. It's IP 000. Okay. Awesome. And what I get to do is I get to do this just to make sure that it's working. Just to make sure that it's working. Oh, no. All right. So, let's see. What was the, again, my, what was the IP address of my, overview. So here's the IP address. And what I need to do now is just copy this over to somewhere, right? So 88, and then the last thing I need is this token. Cool. All right. So if I do this, and then I come here, to make sure that the environment was set up correctly. Not seeing anything. Interesting. All right, let me try something else. Let me try to do port tunneling. So as I say, 8888. I'm just gonna do this. 8888. AZ user at. Nope. I just want. How was it 8? Is this right? Or forwarding message. Let's see, tunneling. Example, local forward. Ah, there you go. So it will be what?
Here. Good. How are you? How's your weekend? Like out and about?
Wow. Let's see.
That's good.
No.
Right. That's nice. Where did you get to go? Just like out shopping and walking
What
around?
is going on? I know it's typically. Let me see.
Ah, awesome.
Whoops. I'm actually gonna have to cut it short here, folks, but I guess you're gonna have to kind of trust me that it works. And on the next stream, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the data and we're gonna go ahead and start our analysis. So thanks again. We went a little way longer than expected. It was a little bit painful, but fortunately we got everything set up. So thanks again for joining, and I hope to see you folks on Wednesday. Thanks. I'll see you then. Bye.